Today we talk about assets versus liabilities. So this one is not as Yu-Gi-Oh centric as some of my other videos, but I think it's a pretty important topic. If you look at what wealthy people own, you will very often notice that they own things that produce income. Now this is very basic for some and might be very new to others, but people with like real wealth, sure, they may own like this really nice car, but that really nice car is often like 0.5% of their wealth, or maybe 0.05% of their wealth. There are a lot of people who pretend to be wealthy and they will drive this car and that car will be worth like 15% of their wealth. And at that point, you know, yikes, this person might not have the brightest of futures ahead. But you know, if you look at very, very wealthy people, very often, if they have luxurious things, those luxurious things are very slight slivers of their wealth pie, if you want to call it that. Very often they will own assets. An asset is something that produces income or something that helps you produce income. You know, if you are a taxi driver or you own a taxi driving company, the cars are technically assets. They are helping you produce income. If you just have a car as a regular human being, that might not be an asset. You know, the thing you drive into your friend or to a theater or something like that, it is not producing income. The only thing it is doing is costing you money. You have your insurance, you have your taxes on that, you have to do repairs, you have to do all this crap, and every single year that you have this thing, that thing is costing you money. So that is a liability. You buy the car for 30,000, you drive it off the lot, now it's 20,000. You've already lost money. Good job. Then you have to pay for gas, boom, liability. You have to pay for insurance, boom, it's still a liability. It is continuously a liability until it's something that produces income. When your goal is to accrue wealth, and you know, that isn't necessarily a greed thing, it can also just mean that I would like to eventually get to a point where I can comfortably live without being forced to do things that I don't want to do. And you know, just want that freedom, let's say, if you want to call it that. I hate the word freedom when it comes to finances, because that is what it is, but there's a lot of like gurus out there who are like, do you want freedom? Do you want financial freedom? And all that shit. So like it yikes me out a little bit. But so the idea is that you buy things that either give you direct cash flow or they increase in value over time, so that you have more than what you started with. Unlike a liability where you know every single day or month I own this thing, it is costing me money. And so what you notice with these wealthy individuals, they almost always have these assets. Whether they have rental properties, whether they have companies, whether they have stocks or bonds or collectibles, antique, they always have assets. Things that appreciate and create cash flow. And while they may have liabilities, they're not a big portion of their allocation. And then you go towards, let's say, people middle class or lower class, they often don't own these assets. Now, you could get into an argument where a lot of people don't have opportunities to even buy assets because they're forced to live paycheck to paycheck. Once again, that is an unfortunate reality. We've discussed this at length already in my Building Wealth video, but again, that's a very iffy subject. However, a lot of people are in positions where they can accrue assets and simply don't. And that's not all. Once again, there are people who simply can't, and that's shit. I don't know how to change that. I'm not a politician, and even politicians often know no. But there is a lot of people who do have that potential to accrue these things that will get them in a better position in the future and simply don't want to, because it sucks right now and it's only fun in 10 years. And why would you do something that sucks right now when you can do something that's fun right now? A good example of this is the marshmallow experiment. I don't know if you know about that, but essentially they gave little kids a marshmallow on a plate. And then they said, don't eat this, we will go away. And if you didn't eat this, you get another marshmallow. So now you have 2 instead of 1, but all you need to do is wait. And a lot of the kids did not wait. A lot of the kids just ate the 1 marshmallow. Fuck your second marshmallow. Get the fuck out. I'm gonna enjoy this marshmallow. And so that is basically what this is about. It's about the delayed gratification. It's about doing something right now that sucks big dicks, but you know will be fruitful in the future. It's the same thing with asset acquisition. Again, if you are in a position where you can. Not everyone is. Delayed gratification is something humans don't like to do because, again, like, why the fuck would I work extra right now if I could be playing Overwatch? And you know, I sometimes fall for this. It's just how humans are. It's also interesting that, and now this study has been reproduced, so it's true, but it is still not a causal thing, it's a correlating thing, where the kids who could not eat the marshmallow and then got two, they tended to do better in life later on. And that was something I found, oof. So that's something like inside the kid already. Yikes. Again, it's not a 100% causal thing. I'm sure there's psychology majors out there who go even deeper on this stuff. I'm sure there's like multivariate analysis and you're like, oh, it's more gray than black and white. Absolutely. But the idea is there. Being able to not buy something cool now and instead buy something smart now, knowing that it's not fun, it's not sexy, but you know in 10 years you'll thank yourself, it's very hard to do that. Like right now, I personally... There's nothing like I really want to buy. Sure, there's certain cards I would like to have, but again, I don't want to increase my exposure to a speculative market too much. But there's really nothing like fun-wise that I want to buy. But let's say I did want to. Let's say I really wanted the PlayStation 5. And let's say I only had the, how much is it, 700 now? I know it was 500 on release, but then people scalped. But let's say it's 700 right now, right? And let's say that's the only 700 I have beyond all the bills I have to pay and so forth. Now, some people may say, okay, I want that fun right now. I'll put the 700 into the PlayStation and then the 50 or the 60 into the new game and do that every month. And that is money that could have gone into an asset. It could have gone into an index fund in the stock market. It could have gone into so many things. And you know, in 10 years, you're probably happier that you put that into stock than into the PlayStation, or maybe not. Maybe you're like, well, I didn't want more money in 10 years, I wanted to play the game right now. But so by continuously making those choices where, oh, I would rather have this fun thing now than this better thing later, that is essentially how you get into this point where you have a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily do much, you know, it's just sitting there. And if you want to sell your PlayStation 5 in 10 years, I don't know if that's gonna be a very solid strategy. I don't think it will have appreciated much. I'm pretty sure it just lost a lot of value. Maybe you'll get 10% back, you know. Now this PlayStation also uses electricity, and you also continuously need to buy games for it and maybe a new controller. And so you're already noticing this PlayStation is a liability. It's not an asset. Now you could say, some people will say, well, if I am getting fun out of it, and this fun is making me more comfortable, which means I can now do my job better, and that will make it so I produce more at the job, and this makes it so in the long term my happiness will make it so I have more income, and over time the comfort that PlayStation gave me therefore actually was a net positive. Cool. And that is definitely like a legit thing. You can't be working and buying assets forever for like your whole life. At 80 you'll be like, fuck, I wasted my whole life and now I have this pile of gold and I never liked gold. That's also a possibility. That is of course assuming that you are actually getting that value from it and that you are still getting assets in some other way then. Because if you don't, maybe at 80 you'll notice, damn, I don't actually have a house anymore and I don't have any like food to eat and so forth. You know, people say, oh, there's retirement funds and then the government will take care of that. But if you've kept up with certain issues, it's actually interesting how a lot of retirement funds may not be able to actually keep up with the aging population. So that's another fear that I have. But of course, like I'm a young kid, maybe I never actually have to care about that. But if you are relying on your government to take care of your retirement many years down the line, and so therefore now you are spending everything you have on liabilities rather than assets, it is very possible that because of an aging population and not enough new blood entering the system to kind of keep the whole banking system alive, it's very possible that at 80 or 65 you'll notice, hey, fuck, the government kind of like quit this whole retirement thing, or it's no longer paying out enough to actually keep me alive, and I consistently, you know, bought PlayStations, and so now I starve. That is like a possibility that I have in my head. I don't know if it'll happen. Again, like there's people out there who are like, oh, I'm an expert at this, I'm an expert at that, and oh, I'm telling you this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen. But it's very known that every single day you watch CNBC, CNN and so forth, and everyone's an expert and everyone's predicting these things, and 99% of them are wrong anyway. So keep that in mind. Better safe than sorry. Like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.